Hey Miss Green, so today we're going to be looking at the digestive system, a very important aspect of our bodies, and of course we're going to look at the biomedical point of view, and then we're going to see what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita about food and consciousness, and we'll take it from there. And in case you're wondering, yes, we're holding on to our hats because it's super windy outside in London today. So yeah, we're trying to stay safe, and I hope you are all safe too. Okay, so please, let us hear all about the digestive system.
Yeah! This is such an interesting topic itself, food, consciousness and digestion, because you are what you absorb, what you digest and what you eliminate. And in fact, 70% of our immune system is based in our digestive tract. So you can see for yourself how important it is to keep your digestive tract very healthy. Our digestion begins with chewing. In our saliva we have many chemicals and many enzymes that will help to break down our food chemically. For example, we have an enzyme called salivary amylase, which when we chew, it breaks our carbohydrates. So it's very important that you chew your food properly.
On that note, I heard some guidelines for chewing. One is that you should chew your food 32 times before you swallow. Try counting. See if you actually chew like 10 times. See if you can chew 5 times before you actually swallow. So this is 32 times. And the other is chew your food until it's liquidized, until it's kind of water in your mouth, and then you can swallow, which probably takes about 32 times of motion to do that. So there you go, very important. Chew your food.
Very interesting. And I also notice these days, especially at work, where people are having their lunch in front of their computer desks, so they're working and eating at the same time, or they're walking. Yes, thank you. They're walking around and eating very fast, or they're eating, answering the phones at the same time, and it's so very unhealthy because you don't actually put your mind into your food, and that way you're not chewing properly. And if you don't chew properly, you don't digest properly. And if you don't digest fully, then you won't absorb your nutrients fully, which then as a consequence will have problems within your machine.
Yeah. Definitely the way we eat, the location, the state of consciousness, the blocking of stressful situations or unpleasant situations, I think is part of the digestive process, isn't it?
It is, yes. So we can have a look on our poster just to briefly go through it. So here we've got our liver. Liver is super important organ in our body, and it filters 1.4 liters of blood every day.
Wow.
And on top of that, it performs over 500 functions, which some of them include detoxification, blood cleansing, liver keeps our hormones in balance, produces bile, many functions. So it's very important organ in our body. Then here we have stomach. As you can see, it's a J-shaped organ, and stomach is responsible for many things. Some of the functions include churning and mixing our food with gastric juices, and it breaks down the food. It digests proteins and fats, and very importantly, it releases intrinsic factor, which is essential for absorption of vitamin B12. So important. Again, you can see how different illnesses can be linked, because if your stomach doesn't perform its functions properly, then you might have anemia, for example, because its B12 wouldn't be absorbed. Or let's go to pancreas. Pancreas, it's a really awesome, look at that, very awesome organ, and super important because it's got actually two functions, hormonal functions, which is endocrine and exocrine. So pancreas releases pancreatic juices, which are absolutely essential for digestion. And on top of that, it can regulate our blood sugar. Then we can move to gallbladder, which is this green shaped organ here.
Oh, I see. So it goes. And
it goes
Is
like
it
actually
intertwined
around.
with
Yes,
the pancreas?
yes, because your gallbladder stores and releases bile, and bile breaks down fat and removes waste. So just a little bit about. So we have large intestine here. You can see, and this is a small intestine. So small intestine is really about absorption. 90% of absorption is happening in our small intestines, as well as immune functions. And the large intestine is responsible with the final stages of extracting nutrients, absorption, and stool formation. In our large intestines, we also have gut microbes living there. So we've got a colony of trillions of little microbes there living. So we are not alone.
Oh, that's a nice way to put it.
Yeah, but they are helpful. They are helping us with extraction of nutrients as well. So very beneficial. And of course we have rectum and anal canal. That's where our stool passes. And appendix. Appendix actually is very important because this is our immune tissue.
People have appendix removed.
Yes, and this can impact on your immunity, overall immunity. Also, I want to say, when we take antibiotics, especially regularly, then this will subsequently disturb the balance of your microbes, of your flora, which then it can also cause problems with immunity. And
that's what you're meant to do, like for whatever, a week or 10 days or no more than 2 weeks, isn't it? Then if you have to take, or if they prescribe you,
yes,
you have to do it for a limited time. You can't do it all the time.
Yes, so this is the digestive system. It's much more to it, but this is just a very, very brief introduction. Otherwise, we could talk for days about every single function of the organs.
We will not talk for days about this. Okay, thank you, Miss Green.
Welcome.
So the beyond part of this, first a little overview. I made a couple of notes just to highlight what is the purpose of food in our life. I thought we should start from there. And there's you can boil it down to 3 aspects. Food is to help increase the duration of life, keeping body and soul together, purifying one's mind.
Very nice.
This is very important, and nobody minds about this, and also give strength to the body. So this is from the yoga text Bhagavad Gita. This is the definition or the purpose of eating, if you like. From the Bhagavad Gita we learn that there are modes of nature, aspects and ways of being and manifesting consciousness that interact, and this is the way we are, because the modes of material nature make us work that way. So they're like flavors of our existence, if you like. And so the division is mode of goodness or light, mode of passion, and then the mode of darkness, sometimes also referred to as the mode of ignorance. And so I wanted to share what the Bhagavad Gita says about the different types of food that each living entity in the different modes prefer.
Very interesting.
And the impact that they have in our body and in our consciousness and overall existence.
Sounds good.
So people in the mode of goodness, or people who have a prevalent mode of goodness, because the modes are all acting within us, but one sometimes is more prominent than the other. But if you're living under the prominent mode of goodness, you will eat foods which will serve the purpose of what food is, meaning they will increase the duration of life, purify your existence, and give strength, health, happiness, and satisfaction. And those foods are the ones that are pleasing to the heart. When you eat and you feel, oh, I eaten so nicely, you feel kind of happy and warm, as if you're eating like your mother's food or your grandmother's food, something that is being cooked with love. So this is the type of food. And this in general guidelines, it will be milk products, rice, whole wheats, fruits, vegetables, like that. These are in the category of food in the mode of goodness. Those who are ruled by the mode of passion will prefer foods which are too bitter, too sour, salty, hot, pungent, dry and burning. And what happens if you prefer and consume the food like that, then you will bring upon yourself distress, misery and disease. Which is what you were referring to. This is more or less, most of us nowadays are pushed to eat in the mode of passion. Well, ignorance and passion, I think, is what dominates, and that's why there is such an amount of stress, depression, and so many diseases, all linked to what you were saying earlier as well. If you dwell in the mode of darkness, you will search or prefer foods which are tasteless, decomposed, putrid, and made of untouchable things. And also, listen to this, it's being prepared more than 3 hours before it's being eaten.
Wow.
Something to consider there. Now this last bit, it does not apply to sanctified food. Practitioners of Bhakti Yoga are familiar with a term which is prasadam, honoring prasadam, eating remnants that have been offered with love and devotion before an image or a deity in an altar and purified by reciting mantras and hoping that Krishna will accept those foodstuffs. And so the rule of the 3 hours does not apply to prasadam. Obviously, with certain items that you will cook, you will need to keep them fresh, preserve them properly, and so on and so on. And they might become unsuitable for human consumption after some time. You should not waste, never should waste prasadam, sanctified food. It has always to be distributed, and if a human being cannot eat it, you can give it to an animal. One last point I wanted to bring, and this is, it's a little heavy perhaps, you've been warned. If you watched so far, you've been warned. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, who is the most amazing translator, modern translator of the Bhagavad Gita, adds some explanations for us to understand the verses, what Krishna is saying to his disciple Arjuna. And he explains that when he's talking, elaborating on eating in the mode of darkness or ignorance, he makes a statement that when I was reading it, it jumped the page and slapped me. And that reads exactly like this: slaughter is the way of subhumans. I come from the first 20 years of my existence, I was a heavy meat eater. When I look, this is over 25 years ago now, and my lifestyle and my consciousness, it was very different at the time. I was a lot more, I think, looking back, I can relate to the mode of darkness. And after a period of over 25 years of trying to eat in the mode of goodness and foods which are situated in the mode of goodness, there is an amazing shift in my heart, in my mind. I think my consciousness is a little bit clearer and lighter, and I have more room to try to develop and understand compassion. And the point that Srila Prabhupada makes with regards to the slaughter is that for civilized, or the civilized method of obtaining needed fat for the body is to, for example, take milk of the cow. Because you do not need to kill the animal, you don't need to eat the body of the cow, because the cow is giving you the nutrients within the milk.
I have a question.
Sure.
So you mentioned before food in the mode of goodness, and one of the items you said was milk.
Mm-hmm.
But also considering slaughterhouses and the milk that we are currently consuming, which is from supermarkets, for example.
Yeah.
Surely that milk is coming from slaughterhouses. So how would you balance that? What's your opinion on that?
I, over the last at least 5 years, I lean towards a vegan diet personally. As a result, I have come to understand that what we call milk now in the shelf in a supermarket or in a store, it's something that comes out of the body of a cow, plus antibiotics and steroids and hormones and who knows what else is going on there, and some other liquid, and then it's a little bit of white color so that you think it's milk or something like that, and it comes as a product of treating the cow in the worst possible condition, as if it was not a living entity. And so there is no particular difference between a slaughter and then obtaining milk that way, but also you won't get the nutrients that you're expecting to. Now, when we read this from the Gita, we understand that this is based on the principle of cow protection, where there's absolute cooperation between the human being and the cow is treated like people in the West treat cats and dogs, like a pet that you love and you pamper and you call by name and they respond and you do this and that. I've seen it. I've seen the interaction of human being with cow, and it's as sweet as that of, a person with their cat or a person with their dog and like that. Probably better. Actually better, because the cow can cooperate, can reciprocate with you and give you milk, which in turn you can make into, obviously you can drink the milk, you can make yogurt, you can make paneer, you can make cheese, butter, and so many other things, and your cats and dogs don't necessarily give you that. But they give other things, not to look down on cats and dogs. They're also lovely entities that deserve respect, just as the cow deserves most respect.
Definitely.
So yeah.
That's a very nice point. And also this brings me to a memory when I broke a bone in my foot. And I went to see a consultant at the hospital, and he asked me first, what is my diet like? So I've explained I'm vegan myself. Therefore, he advised, I should increase my calcium intake, and he was strongly suggesting dairy products. But again, I said I'm vegan. So then he advised me to get supplements, because from vegan diet I won't obtain enough calcium, without knowing that actually calcium is in almonds, sesame seeds, tofu, I believe. There are many items from where we can take good
plant-based items,
amount of calcium. And I feel like there is not enough knowledge about the nutrients, because we have been programmed that we have to eat meat in order to obtain proteins, and we have to eat dairy in order to obtain calcium, which is not true.
Well, there's a wealth of protein coming from pulses, grains, seeds, beans, nuts, so many ways, and just like we saw this very interesting documentary, The Game Changers, remember?
Yes, very
And
good.
a wonderful point that it was raised there is that because we don't put two and two together and understand that the protein and nutrients, the different things that we're looking for are coming from plants. And the cow or the animal that you kill to put on your plate is just the middleman. Is, you know, the cow is eating grass. That is the diet of the cow, and then it transforms. It's got these two stomachs, and it does this and that, and this amazing digestion, and then it transforms it into milk, which is full of nutrients. But the vast majority have accepted the propaganda that meat is good for you, that you need meat. And so, but because as the world is ruled by marketing through media and slaughterhouses and probably the pharmaceutical industry, this is what it rules our thinking model and what we're going to, just like, you know, the marketing that put forward, well, milk is it's the only way that you can obtain calcium from. Never mind, there are other plant-based foods which have even more calcium than milk. Of course, good milk and proper and pure and real milk, it has a lot of calcium, and amongst other nutrients and protein and so many other wonderful things. But it's not the only source. and it's just bewildering how, you know, we've just succumbed to what we've been told repeatedly, you know. And but there you go. Anyway, this is I think it's time for dinner now, and so we're getting very hungry, and so we can probably leave it here. And I hope that this you can contemplate on the discussion. Forgive us if anything is not to your taste or hard to digest. And please, if you want to talk about it nicely and in a constructive way, leave a comment below and we can take it from there. And thank you very much for watching, and kindly remember, you are not this body.
Ascharya